Hi everybody, it's Nikki, and I'm here to do part 7 of Tandem T-Slim X2 with Basal-IQ and MiniMed 670G manual mode Smart Guard with low management features comparison. And I was halfway through part 7 and my cat just attacked me on screen. So now I'm starting at the beginning of part 7 again. Okay, I'm at other tidbits, thoughts, and theories, and I'm just going to read it. It's basically just kind of looking at maybe why the suspends have such a different effect. In manual mode, though the user is able to customize settings, the user cannot choose suspend before low and suspend on low simultaneously. It's one or the other. In contrast, with Basal-IQ's flexible algorithm, the good combined coverage of both the trend and current status of blood sugar seems to be what helps it avoid hitting the maximum suspend limit. If the 670G allows only one option and then locks you in for an extended period of time, but the T-Slim X2 follows a predetermined equation that suspends both before you've reached the low limit as well as if you remain there, allowing it to go in and out of suspends with ease, then it might be why the 670G suspends feel like long blocks while the Basal-IQ suspends are better equipped to match fluctuating blood sugar needs. That's a theory. I don't have any idea. I'm not really sure. But I do think that there's something, obviously, that allows the T-Slim to go in and out of those little quick 5-10 minute suspends. And I do think that maybe the fact that those 670G, with its you having to select one or the other, all the focus is on that, and then it's just locked in. I didn't have to add all that. Okay. Not only does this difference in algorithm, this part is important. Okay, not only does this difference in algorithm affect the average duration of suspends, but it also affects the total amount of time the feature is unavailable, and therefore the total amount of exposure the user has to hypoglycemia without the safety net. So again, because the 670G keeps running into that limit, it spends more time with the 30-minute unavailable, disabled feature time. Also, because of the response time and everything else, the 670G just has longer pockets throughout the day where the feature is unavailable. Whereas the T-Slim, the only time the feature is unavailable is if you've reached that 2-hour limit. And that 2-hour limit really doesn't happen very often unless your basal rates are too high, or you've just kind of really overdone a bolus. I'm nervous. She's making me nervous. Okay, so there is a fairly complex breakdown of when and why the Smart Guard suspend by sensor features won't be available. How long the feature will be unavailable depends highly on how quickly you respond after insulin has resumed. This sets up the potential for numerous pockets in which the feature is unavailable. Generally speaking, between the frequency of maximum suspend limits and the loss of coverage as a result of response time, Smart Guard leaves windows open where hypos may occur without coverage. Then again, since the T-Slim only is unavailable for 30 minutes, at the end of 2 hours, it's got better coverage throughout the day. One last thought is about the alerts. Both pumps allow the user to customize their alerts according to rate of change in blood sugar, their high and low limits, and whether they want to be notified of the suspension and resuming of insulin. Choosing how to set alerts is important, as it is a fine line between receiving enough communication about what your pump is doing without inundating ourselves with meaningless tones that have no bearing on our management. I have found how often I want to hear from my pump about what it is doing has changed drastically from one pump to the next. Because of the need for my intervention, I needed to hear from the 670G all the time. I needed to know what it was doing all the time. And that was because I didn't agree with a lot of what it was doing. So I needed alerts, I needed alarms. And in fact, I remember at one point talking to Medtronic and saying, I needed the volume to be better and I needed them just to be clearer. And I was laughing because I know a lot of people couldn't stand how often the pump was alerting us. And I didn't disagree, but I needed communication knowing when it was suspending my insulin. In addition, I also needed to know when I was rising and falling and everything else. Again, it was because I needed to know what it was up to. On the flip side, because I have found through the frequency and short duration of the T-Slim X2 suspends that there is a far smaller likelihood of rebound highs I choose to let it do everything quietly. I don't have to spend my day listening to it, and I don't have to spend my day looking at it. And I'm not saying that I don't get an occasional rebound, but it's not, it happens so infrequently that it's not worth spending my time checking everything. So I'm very happy to have a quiet pump, and not needing to hear from it. Okay, helping it succeed. This is short. This is, in theory, this is going to be true for both pumps. In theory, this is saying that if you have too much insulin, you're going to basically corner your pump and make it suspend. And too much insulin could either come as a result of having a basal rate that's too high, or having really overshot on a bolus, a correction bolus, you know, whatever it is, a food bolus. So basically, anytime we are getting too much insulin, we are really cornering our pumps, and we're saying you're going to have to suspend. It's all you have. Making sure basal rates are appropriate is going to allow either system to perform more efficiently. I think that is true. A basal rate that is too heavy is going to corner the algorithms, forcing both Basal-IQ and manual mode into longer suspends, which sets the potential for undesirable rebounds. Again, fine-tuning will certainly help out in both cases. However, I do find fine-tuning to have a bigger impact on Basal-IQ's ability to keep me in range, more so than it does with manual mode's ability. I can see the difference between the average duration of suspends I receive in Basal-IQ when I alter my basal. Again, it's a visible difference. When I'm finished doing a run, let's say I've done a 5-mile run and it's been a good workout. In the hours following that run, a lot of times I'll start to see very long suspends on my T-Slim, approaching 2 hours, with some being 2 hours. As soon as I see it, it's evidence that I need to go ahead and cut down my basal rate a little bit. Like there's too much insulin for what I need at that moment. As soon as I turn my basal down, there is a visible difference, and I'm able to start seeing short suspends again. And it's how I know that it's a better match. This is just not true for manual mode. First of all, seeing long suspends in manual mode does not indicate a need for a change in basal rate, because the suspends tend to be long in manual mode. So whereas if I see it and on the T-Slim, I know that I need to go ahead and slow down my basal. If I see it in manual mode, I just know that I'm getting locked into those suspends. So it might be a big mistake to turn down my basal. It just doesn't indicate that. And turning down my basal doesn't necessarily decrease the length of the suspends. It might mean I'm suspended less frequently. That's why I said I do think that having a good matched basal rate is going to help on both pumps, but it just doesn't seem to have the same effect on the length of the suspends. I might want to consider that again. So, and I think that is really what those, I think that's what it is. 8.5 minutes. So that was basically what I was just trying to say, is that that in order to help those pumps, in order to help the algorithms help you, really you don't want to be pounding them with insulin, and that is true for both pumps. However, and I won't repeat it all again, but the T-Slim, it's a little bit more fine-tuned. You can get more information from seeing long suspends, and you can affect the duration a little bit more by choosing a good rate and making sure you're getting the appropriate amount of insulin. Said it again. Okay, tracking Basal-IQ. I'm supposed to be leaving for an appointment, so I'm now at breakneck speed. I'd like to get these done. I'm gonna do part 8, I think. And this is where I'm going to talk about the observation for the Basal-IQ observation, which I will tell you was overall very good, and it confirmed why I like Basal-IQ. And then, as I said in another video, I will do something of a post hoc analysis of some of my old manual mode suspends logs. And I mean at the same time I was doing these, I just was unable to wear the pump in order to do a true side-by-side comparison. But if anybody ever wants to see my CareLink reports, I can show you all the rebound highs. so that's not a very, like, a big challenge, and I'm not trying to challenge anybody. That's it. I will be back. Thanks for watching. Bye.